Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Mount Olive Township Workshop and Council meeting for October 3rd, 2017. If you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence to remember all those people in the tragedy in Las Vegas, the people that were killed, and the people that were hurt, and all the first responders, and all the people that helped. Keep them in your prayers.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Michelle, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Here.
Mr. Ferrante?
Here.
Mrs. Labow? Mr. Mania?
Here.
Mr. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Here, thank you. First order of business, I'd like to welcome Andrew, our new business administrator, to his first meeting, and welcome.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
How about a round of applause?
He looks like he just got out of high school.
All right, first item is a presentation from the Land Conservancy of New Jersey. Barbara is here. How you doing?
Good. Thank you. You can hear me all okay? Okay. So my name is Barbara Heskins Davis. I'm Vice President of Programs at the Land Conservancy of New Jersey. I like to come in and do a presentation to the council every year. We own just about 400 acres in the municipality, which makes us a fairly significant landowner. And we're doing a lot of different projects on our preserves. So I like to be able to present them to you, tell you what's new, and answer any questions that you might have. Typically, I also come in and ask you for something, and I'm going to say I have no asks this year, so which is a good thing. It means things are going well.
That's good.
So,
Thank you very much.
yeah, just put that out there. But if you have a question, don't hesitate to ask, and I gave you all my business cards, so you can always email me as well. And I have to say, I meet with a lot of other land trusts, and you know, people talk and they fuss, and we have nothing to fuss about with Mount Olive. You've been really great partners from day one, and we feel very fortunate that our premier property is located in Mount Olive Township, so we really do want to thank you. So the Land Conservancy of New Jersey owns South Branch Preserve. It's in two sections. This is the northern section on the corner of Wolf Road and Route 46, about 2 miles from the municipal building. You can think of it in 4 pods. We have our reforestation project, we have the farm, and we have the butterfly meadow, and the South Branch of the Raritan River. It's preserved specifically for its water quality value. 3/4 of a mile of the South Branch of the Raritan River flows through this section of the property, and it provides drinking water for over 1.5 million New Jersey residents. So anything that we do at the preserve is to protect the drinking water supply that it affords. This is a map of the preserve. The lands in red are the lands that are owned by the Land Conservancy of New Jersey. In the north, that's the northern section that we just looked at an aerial map of. And then in the south by Shop Lane is our southern section of the preserve. This was the property that we purchased in 2010. That was the #1 damaged site in the New Jersey Highlands. It had the largest fine ever levied by the Soil Conservation Service. The person who owned it put in 1.5 miles of roadway, 7 culverts, 1 arch bridge culvert, the foundation of a house, and 2 detention basins. And we took ownership of it and restored the property over 1 summer. And we're in its 5th year, and it's really remarkable. It's regenerating.
I'm sorry.
It's at the end of Shop Lane off of Flanders Drakestown Road.
That's what I thought. The one question I have for you is that For the longest time, there was a gate which was closed. Is that still the case on that property?
Yeah, the gate is closed. There's a pedestrian gate to the right of it.
So there is access to the public?
Always, it's not locked.
I'm not sure that the public in Mount Olive knows that that property is available for
Okay,
passive recreation activities.
okay, I'm
So
gonna make a
One of the things
note.
that I'd like to see is the Land Conservancy working with the municipal government to better advertise the existence of the property, the availability of the types of uses that are associated with the property. Because I think that as we get the message out there, I know for the longest time, the effort was to restore the property.
Right,
I had walked, it's a beautiful piece of
Yeah.
property. It really is.
yeah.
But I don't think that the residents in Mount Olive, and partly my fault in not getting that message out. So let's see what we can do
Yeah, I think that's a good
to
point.
move that forward.
Yeah, gates are scary, you know,
Yes.
they are.
Can't get my Jeep back there.
We don't want your
Just
Jeep
kidding.
back there. We had a lot of trouble with dumping, you know, because it's at the end of the cul-de-sac.
Yes.
And that's really stopped.
It's
There's,
It's an
coup-
absolutely beautiful piece
It
of
is.
property.
there's a resident who lives near there that walks their dog on the property nearly every day. And will walk the perimeter of the fence and will inform us there's a problem. So, but I wrote a note, so I appreciate that.
Is there a name to the property?
It's South Branch Preserve South, so
Okay.
that's exactly what it is.
We're going to get something up actually on our website, on the mayor's page.
Okay. Great. Barbara McCluskey at the office has a great relationship with Lisa, so we'll make sure that we get some information to you.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm glad you did. It's all good. Much better that way. So this is South Branch of the Raritan River, which flows through the property. I thought it was interesting. The DEP has done a study of the fish in the river, and they did one when we first acquired the property, which was in 2011, and they just finished a preliminary study. They did it, when they originally did it, we found about 15 young brook trout near the main stem that drains from the South Branch Preserve. But now there's a much greater diversity of species, and they found 28 brook trout, which is an indicator of high water quality. It's pretty remarkable the amount of fish that they found. Largemouth bass, there was 4 of them, and then the list goes on. So we were very pleased that the fish are, you know, not only, they didn't need to necessarily rebound, but their populations are getting stronger and more diverse, which is exactly what you want to see and is a direct result of the work that we're doing there. So this is another shot of the river, which is great. On August 21st, now if you'll indulge me, and I'll stop it if it bothers you, but I have a very funny video from the eclipse. The solar eclipse was on August 21st, and we hosted an event at South Branch Preserve for residents, for our members to come and watch the eclipse. And it was so much fun. I have to say, best part of working for a nonprofit organization that does environmental work, we all took the afternoon off to see the eclipse. And this is a very funny video. I'm going to see if I can remember how to do it. Of the people that were at the eclipse. So it's a time lapse. And I can stop it if it bothers you. But we had about 100 people there, a lot of residents of Mount Olive. People were great. We had worked very hard to get the glasses for the eclipse and couldn't get them. I'm sure a lot of people had trouble getting glasses for the eclipse. But people shared their supplies. We brought refreshments. We had set up a TV at the garden so people could look at the NASA website for the eclipse as it traveled through the country. Very positive. Great way to promote Mount Olive. Great way to promote South Branch Preserve. So I can stop it. It's probably getting a little tiresome.
No, it's okay.
Okay. But it was a lot of fun. You can see people interacted with one another, and I think we're close to the end. Once you see their knees, we're done. But it was a ton of fun, and it was just great. The parking facility.
I
was able
echo
to
that because
go-
I was at that with my wife, and there were 2 pairs of glasses, and they were passed around everywhere. You guys did
Yeah.
a great job at it.
Thanks. It was really fun. I was very happy to have it. We have the property's divided up into different sections. So as you enter the property, you have a nice parking facility on your right. You have the community garden and the restoration area. And then across the street on Wolf Road, we have the farm. and it's 28 acres, 4 farm fields. And you know from the presentations I've given in the past, we've struggled with the farm. We're really trying to turn those 4 fields over into an organic farming operation, specifically to support the food pantries in Mount Olive and the surrounding area. And we've had an evolution, and I have to say our understanding of farmers has greatly increased over the last couple years. This year we were supposed to have a farmer who promised he was going to grow crops on the first field, and then like a month before he was going to plant, he says, "Oh, sorry, I got transferred, I'm moving to South Jersey, can't help you out." But we do have a young farmer who understands what we're doing, and he planted organic grain on all 4 fields. This is field 1. This is the best field right along Wolf Road. It's 11 acres, and you can see the grain coming up. And this is field 4, which is one of the worst fields. And I have it just specifically to show you. You can see the invasive species coming up in among the sorghum. So we're really working with our co-owner, the New Jersey Water Supply Authority, to identify ways to address those non-native plants, because we don't want them to outcompete. And his harvest was actually negligible this year because of the amount of non-native plants. What we're very pleased about was we were able to finally get water onto the property this year. That was a multi-year process to do that. So we were very pleased that we could get the well drilled and get the water running. And we have all electric running, and the well is working. We also installed 2 sheds. They look really nice on the property. They're specifically to store any equipment that the farmer may need. I think they're empty right now because we don't have active farming operations other than the grain. But we're getting there, and I think it's going to come along well. We have a great relationship with the Boy Scouts in Mount Olive, and they have done a number of projects out at the preserve. Our favorite long-term one is this bird blind, and this is the view from the bird blind. And this is the site visit from a year ago. Joe's out there when we went out to the property and walked to the bird blind. This year, we've had 2 scouts work on the property. The first one, Alberto Garza Gomez, he did 10 bat houses on the preserve. Bats are an important species for the ecosystem, and he did a great job and earned his Eagle Scout through that. Jonathan Whippert built this pergola for the community garden. And again, the community garden is used entirely by Mount Olive residents, and the pergola is beautiful. So you can see here mid-construction, and this is it fully built with the picnic table underneath. And if you have a chance to go to the garden, you can see how beautiful it is. He did a terrific job, and it's a complicated project, and he did that on his own. Really very well deserved. We put in a new sign at the entrance of the parking lot. We found people didn't know where to park. It's so close to Route 46 that people were overshooting it, and it created an unsafe condition. So we worked with your zoning officer to make sure we were locating it correctly, that it was the correct size, and it's really been a terrific help. We have a trail at the preserve, and I have this shot specifically because, as the mayor said, this is on the north section, which is very accessible, and the trail is good. The challenge has been the maintenance of it because of a lot of it's on grass going through the fields, but we are able to have the farmer. He does mow the trail, and we've had interns out there mowing, and it's in pretty good condition. And we do have someone that walks it on a regular basis. I have this shot. This is from the eclipse, other than just thinking those kids are super cute. What I wanted you to see in this picture was we installed a series of signs, wayside signs, at the preserve last year. These are funded through a grant from the DEP, so you can see the sign in the distance. And on the post next to it, there's our red trail blaze, and there's a yellow blaze that has a QR code. Another one of your scouts put in a QR code trail system where you put your phone up to the QR codes, and it links to a website to tell you what you're looking at and why you're there. And he worked very hard on it and did a terrific job. And these are the signs that are out at South Branch. I think they're great, really easy to understand, easy graphics, and explain why we're doing the work that we're doing. And this one was a little busy, but I'm trying not to let it bother me. where it has the different trees and what they are and why we are. But I'm sure it's just great. Sorry. This is our forest restoration site. This is along the south branch of the Raritan River. We received a $150,000 grant from the U.S. Forest Service and from the National Forest Foundation. This was the first set of work that we did. This is year one. So these are the trees that are planted, and I wanted to show you what it looked like this year. Yay! So they're growing. They're doing what they're supposed to do. I was very panicked, but it's doing well, and we're very pleased. Our community garden is a huge success. We have 145 plots. It supports about 90 gardeners. The mayor is going to grow his plot next year. We're pumped. We're excited about that. And these are the onions growing at the garden. The community gardeners themselves are donating produce each year. It's nearly self-run, which has been the goal of the Land Conservancy. We're the landowner, but we'd really like to see the gardeners take ownership of their garden, and they are. And they have weekly donations to the two local food pantries. One is the Drakestown Church, and the other one is Christ Church. In 2015, they donated 510 pounds of produce. In 2016, it was a big year, 740 pounds. So far this year, 560 pounds of produce, which is great. The two food pantries do not necessarily get fresh produce. It's all canned. And this is the first time that they've ever gotten fresh produce, and we're very pleased. And that's really the goal of the farm. The whole purpose of the farm across the street is to grow produce for those food pantries. And if we can't grow produce, the requirement of the farmer is to donate back 10% of the proceeds to us, which we will then donate to the food pantries. And these are some of our gardeners. Again, it's super cute. We have a wildflower meadow on the other side of Route 46 that we received a grant through the DEP this year to, we're working on it to transform these 4 fields to support the monarch butterfly. We had a contractor that was not successful on this property. We invested a lot of money with him, and he was from Pennsylvania, and I don't think this was a high priority for him, and we did not have success, so we have switched contractors. We're using the restoration contractor that we used at the Shop Lane property, who did a terrific job, much more expensive, hence the grant from DEP. This is the first year they've awarded stewardship grants to nonprofits, and we were very pleased to be awarded funds, and we have all the funds in place to do the work. So we're right at the end of the first season. I don't necessarily want to show you the slides from this season because he sprayed it for invasive plants, so it looks very dead. So I'm showing you pictures from last year where it doesn't look quite as dead. This is the entrance to it. Right now this is not open to the public, specifically because it's an active restoration site. I wanted to show you our 2 interns that have worked at South Branch Preserve. The gentleman on the left is Adam Vandenbos. He started at County College of Morris. He's finishing up at Ramapo College. He's a resident of Butler. He worked with us for a couple of summers, and he's terrific. I can really see the growth in him as he's worked with us, and I know there are big plans for him when he finishes his schooling this term. The gentleman on the right is Derek Dykstra. He was a shared intern with the University of Vermont. He's entering his senior year. He works for a surveying company. His father and his uncle own a surveying company, actually works with the Land Conservancy. He did a terrific job. They really enjoyed working out at South Branch. They're great ambassadors for the Land Conservancy and for the township. Anytime a gardener is there, they'll help them out, and they do a really, really nice job for us. And I wanted to thank you again for having me tonight and letting me do the presentation. I'm happy to answer questions, and I'm very accessible. I gave you all my business card. You're important to us, and we consider you a partner hand in hand, and we're very appreciative of everything that Mount Olive does with us. So thank you.
Al?
Barbara, thank you once again for an excellent presentation. How would you characterize the relationship between the Land Conservancy and the township, and have we been helpful to you in the past?
Yes, it's been a very good relationship. I mean, Mount Olive Township was a partner to acquire the property, so you're one of the funding partners, and anytime we have a request, you work with us. When we put in the parking lot, and Chuck will laugh at me, but you know, I'm a licensed planner, all I do is land preservation work, so I've never put in a parking lot before, and we came to the first meeting with Catherine with a hand-drawn map. And, oh, no, she says, that's just not gonna go. So they worked very closely with us, explained how the process works, and were able to help us successfully navigate that. And that was a huge project, so Mount Olive's been terrific.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Barbara.
much.
Thank you, Barbara.
And we'll, let me see, we have to go into executive session. I'm sorry, I lost my sheet here. Oh, yeah, we're going into executive session, which means everyone needs to leave for a few minutes. John, then we can call everybody back once
Thank you,
we're
Mr.
done.
President. According to Section 7 and 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, I make a motion, we move into executive session to discuss personnel issues, noting that the minutes will be available upon conclusion of the issue.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you. Okay, reopen the workshop session for October 3rd, 2017. Continuing on with our agenda, there was 7 resolutions, but number 4 is being removed this evening. So we have 6 resolutions. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or comments on the resolutions? No? Seeing none. We have one ordinance for second reading, vacating a portion of South Rose Lane. And we have 2 ordinances for first reading. Does anyone have any questions or concerns on those ordinances? Nope. No? Seeing none, does anyone have any old business? Seeing none, does anyone have any new business? Does anyone from the public at this session want to be heard? You can see here or on the next session that's recorded, it's up to you for the, you can go up and state your name and address if you want to go up, that's fine.
My name is Teresa Polo, and I have, it's the second reading for the South Rose Lane ordinance,
Correct.
and I just wanted to know, like, what happened?
Yes.
It got passed,
Uh,
or,
It hasn't gotten passed yet, we're in the workshop session,
okay.
but it is up for approval this evening. I don't know whether or not you got information related to your the questions that you had.
Right, I'm going to, I think we're supposed to see Chuck about the plans.
Okay. Andrew also has some information, so
Okay.
Andrew, why don't you explain what information you have?
So based on the information that I gathered, back in 2012, the street was vacated. And the 30-foot paper street all went to the one property owner, instead of it being split 15 and 15 for each property.
Correct.
I believe there's a question with the well that's on the location of it and if it affects your property.
Right.
Okay. The applicant did submit a new site plan, and the well is within the buffer zone of where the well should be. So if you need to see the map to clarify that, then we could definitely show you that.
Okay, you have it with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chuck, is that something that you're familiar with as well?
Yes.
Do you want to come up here? Sure.
Yes, the property, and we've exchanged emails, I guess. right?
No, that was with my neighbor,
Your neighbor.
Carolyn.
Oh, okay,
She's
sorry.
working with me because I work
Okay.
nights.
Right. So the Dr. Sandu, who got site plan approval for a medical building on Route 46, the house has been knocked down. It's been knocked down for a while. He is now going to proceed. His well was actually going to be in the front of the property near Route 46. It's now moved to the back of the lot, but it's still on his lot. It's not even on the portion of South Rose Lane that he's acquiring. So the 15 feet, South Rose Lane, when it splits, he'll get 15, and yourself or whomever, the residents in the back will get 15.
So if I understand it correctly, that the location of the well is appropriate, notwithstanding the fact that 15 feet is being given to each of the properties.
Correct, and the health department has reviewed it. And then behind the well, Mayor, along the 15-foot right-of-way, there'll be extensive landscaping, and we have a landscaping plan. Your neighbor has asked to see that. So I've left that with the with the secretaries in case, I'm
All
not
right,
there.
So there is a barrier going to be.
Extensive barrier,
Okay.
yes.
And.
It's not, you won't see it on the site plans, it was a separate landscaping plan.
Okay, okay.
So you can go into the planning office, ask for the secretary in the planning office. She'll have the landscaping plan for your review.
Okay, so this is
Correct.
where the.
It's already been
well is?
approved by the planning board.
Yes, it has.
Okay, and where am I?
You're in the back here.
On my,
This is the back
this is my backyard here.
here.
Okay, so, now, where's this well in proximity to my well? Like, whose shed is this? That's my neighbor's, I think. This might be me. Not here. No.
This is 46. So we're south Rose Water.
So the well is on his property and it's been approved by the health department.
Right, the question we were trying to figure out is when the paper road was split, then when I acquired 15 feet, where's that well versus my new 15 feet? Is it, that's 10 feet from it?
The well stays where it is, in fact, it adds 15-foot buffer that is otherwise not. Well, South Rose Lane, if it were not vacated, there would be no development. There will be no development in his portion of South Rose Lane except for landscaping. So the well stays within his property and in conformance with the health department standards.
Okay, so this, which one is me?
You're back here.
Okay, and then this is that, and then this gets split like this?
This map already shows the split.
Absent, Chuck, here's the question that I think is being raised. Absent the vacation of Rose Lane, is the well on the doctor's property, would the well on the doctor's property have been approved with respect to all buffers that would have been in place by the health department and by the planning office?
Yes,
Okay, so the vacation of Rose Lane has nothing to do with the location of the well or the approval that the doctor received for the location of the well.
correct.
And now that the 15 feet has been added, there's an additional 15-foot buffer to the back of his property line.
That's correct.
So you're saying that there's 30 feet from the back of my property to his, to
No,
where the well is? Because
I
there's
didn't-
not.
I didn't say that.
Okay. Wait, what am I
The
saying?
South Rose Lane is 30 feet wide on
Right,
paper.
Okay.
It's going to be split. His property will get 15 feet, and you or your neighbors will get the other 15 feet. The well, if South, as the mayor just asked, if South Rose Lane were never vacated, it wouldn't matter. His well is still going to be where it is, and the health department has reviewed it, and it's acceptable.
So it's not that the vacation of Rose Lane has nothing to do with the location of his well. He had an approved spot, that's where it was put. Now that Rose Lane has been vacated, it's still the distance on his property to where Rose Lane was, his new 15 feet, your 15 feet to your property. Do you understand? The vacation,
Is this a survey, is that what this is called, or just the map?
that looks like a site plan.
This is the site plan that they provided.
Because I'm gonna tell you, I mean, I don't know, but it's right behind my house, so I don't know where that 30 feet
Well,
is.
Rose Lane is the 30 feet.
Right.
Right,
But, so if it's on his part of the property, and then there's 30 feet, and
Yes.
then the beginning of my property?
No, because 15 feet of that 30 feet is now your property. Because you're getting half of the vacation of the Rose Lane.
Why don't I come out?
Yeah, I don't really think I understand.
I think what you're saying is, your perception is that in your
Like it's
backyard,
right behind my
it's
house.
closer, but,
That's where they were drilling.
and chances are the right-of-way actually comes on your yard. Probably that shed too, but we'll let that go. But it would probably be easier if I
Well, that's
could,
be a problem if I've got a well on this property,
The we-
because then when I go to sell, what do
No.
I do with that?
no, your well will actually, if the well is on your property today, you'll actually pick up buffer, so you'll be fine. And his well is on his property, and it will never, and again, the health department has reviewed his well, and he meets the buffer requirements. But if you like,
Chuck will come out and meet with you
Why don't we do that? I'll bring
Okay,
it
do
to the
that.
field.
Yeah, I don't want to take up your time.
Well, it'll be easier in the field.
Yeah,
I'll
I
bring the
need to
plans.
explain this to my husband, and then I don't know how to proceed with this 15 feet if you, if you approve this, and then what do I do about it? Like, how do I don't know, fix my survey?
Right.
And then
That's really a legal question.
Okay.
I don't know whether or
So
not
it's
Chuck.
nothing to the town?
What happens, how does one who gets a vacation of a paper road actually
Get it.
annex that property onto your property legally? Do you have to file an amended deed? Do you have to get a new survey? Does it automatically just juxtapose to her property? How does one go about, and how do we tax her now for that additional 15 feet on her property? I'm just kidding, of course.
Yeah. I don't know,
You're
Mayor.
kidding because you already know how.
Yeah. I will defer to Sue on that, or yourself as an attorney, but I believe you can file an amendment to your deed with this ordinance reflecting the addition. If you go to sell the property at some point, you're certainly going to want to do a new survey, though.
Yes. I'm not sure what the answer to that question. You're probably going to have to contact an attorney who does lot line adjustments and reflect that because with every deed that's filed, there's generally a description of the property which has meets and bounds.
Right.
So you're gonna have to do a survey and then probably file a new deed, which shouldn't be terribly
Okay, so
expensive.
what's tax assessing gonna do? Because are they gonna wait for all that to happen?
I don't know what tax assessing, I don't think anyone sitting up here knows what tax assessing is going to do, but you could contact the tax assessor,
And find out?
find out from him.
Because I think they have to know that I legally have it.
I wouldn't
Before.
I wouldn't disagree with you, but I don't know the answer. If you contact the tax assessing office, he probably would be able to tell you what the procedure is as well, even though he's not an attorney, because he sees it all the time, not all the time, but
Right, but it happens.
yes. Yeah, so congratulations on getting the extra 15 feet.
Okay, so we'll go on. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you contact Chuck directly, he'll come out and he'll meet with you. It's a lot easier to understand when you're in the field.
We're going to arrange it.
All right, good.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard at this time? Seeing no one, close to the public. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second? All in favor? Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do we need to clarify it's a motion to adjourn to the public meeting?
Motion to adjourn to the public meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Open up the Mount Olive Township Council meeting for October 3rd, 2017. Michelle, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda? Here. Mr. Ferrante?
Here.
Mrs. Leibau? Mr. Mania?
Here.
Mr. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Here. Mr. Amianda, would you move the approval of minutes from the previous meeting, September 19th, 2017 workshop public meeting in closed session?
I make a motion for approval of the minutes of the previous meetings on September 19, 2017, work session and public meeting and closed session.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Abstain.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. We have 19 pieces of correspondence. Does anyone have any questions on the correspondence? Seeing none, I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 20-2017, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, to amend ordinance number 4-2012, vacating a portion of South Rose Lane. Mr. Ferrante.
Sure, I move for adoption and final passage ordinance number 20-2017.
Second.
Does anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Any council concerns, comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Ordinance number 20-2017 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. Next item on the agenda for first reading is ordinance number 21-2017, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive, the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, to amend and supplement Chapter 550, Land Use, and establish a definition for outdoor dining in Article 2, definition sections 550-5, and to establish outdoor dining as an accessory used in Article 7, zone district using a bulk registrations, and to provide same standards for same in new section 550-78, outdoor dining, Article 5, design guidelines and technical standards. Mr. Roman.
I move that ordinance number 21-2017 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting be held on October 17th, 2017, at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of law.
Second.
Thank you. Any council discussion? Mr. Roman?
Yeah, I'd like to, congratulate not only the planning department, the administration, and everybody involved in this ordinance. I think this is an excellent example of how this governing body not only takes into consideration the business community, but also the residents, in order to make make Mount Olive a much better place for not only people to live, but businesses to prosper. Thank you.
Thank you. Agreed. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this? Seeing none, close to the public. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Next item on the agenda for first reading is ordinance number 22-2017, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive, amending ordinance 27-16, which establishes salaries for mayor, council, department heads, supervisory personnel, and employees of the Township Clerk's Office. Mr. Mania.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that ordinance number 22-2017 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting will be held on October 17th, 2017, at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of the law.
Second.
Thank you. Any council discussion? Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this? Seeing none, close to the public. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. We have 6 resolutions on the agenda and 1 for non-consent. Does anyone wish to move any others to non-consent? Seeing none. Mr. Stewart, would you move resolutions 1 through 3 and 5 through 7?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to make a move for adoption and final passage. Consent resolutions 1 through 3 and 5 through 7.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard on these? Seeing none, close to the public. Any council concerns, comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. We have 1 non-consent resolution. Mr. Ferrante, would you move resolution number 8, please? Oh, Mr. Roman, I'm sorry. I didn't see that there.
I know, we look alike.
It's there.
I move for approval of non-consent resolution number 8.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this one? Seeing none, close to the public. Council comments, I'm sorry. Mr. Roman?
I'd like to congratulate Chuck McGuarty for coming on board. He fills a need that is greatly required since the retirement of Catherine Adapaluzzi. And I'd like to congratulate the administration on thinking outside the box and saving the taxpayers of Mount Olive a considerable amount of money by making this move.
Second that.
And third that one, thank you. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Mr. Amianda, would you move the bill list, please?
Yes, I make a motion for approval of the bill list, ADF bill list.
Second.
Any council discussion? Anyone from the public? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Administrative reports, Andrew or Mayor?
Yeah, I have
Claudia?
several. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Andrew Tataranco on joining our administrative staff and to lead us into the future. Started on Monday, and already I know that we made the right choice in terms of our new business administrator. I'd also like to take the opportunity to welcome back Chuck McGrady, who it just really couldn't have worked out any better for the township. I have several other comments beyond those congratulations. The Backyard Barbecue, I understand, was a huge success. There were approximately 1,000 people present for this adult-only event. Special thanks to the Buildings and Grounds Department, as well as our Recreation Department for another successful community event. Mount Olive Township will be receiving awards from the Morris Park Alliance. The awards are for Outstanding Facility Award for Mount Playmore and Pirates Cove. A Certificate of Merit for Outstanding Program for the Do or Die Color Run, and Outstanding Public Official, me. The awards dinner is Thursday, October 12th at 7 p.m. The Haggerty Education Center, Freeling Heights in Arboretum in Morristown.
Thank you. Anything else?
I would just like to take this opportunity to publicly thank the mayor and council and to introduce myself to the residents. I'm excited for the opportunity and ready to join the team. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome again.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any old business? Seeing none, any new business? Seeing none, any legal matters?
No legal report tonight, but I just wanted to say Fred and I look forward to meeting with your new business administrator on Friday to get started, and also wanted to congratulate Chuck, who we've worked with the township, and it's been terrific both for Fred and I to work with, so congratulations.
It's like a wedding, something old,
Thank you.
something new.
Thank you. Council reports, Mr. Amianda, anything for Board of Ed or seniors?
No report on Board of Education. Mount Olive Senior Citizens Club held their business meeting today, Tuesday, October 2nd, 2017 at 11:30 p.m. Seniors are excited and are looking forward to playing Boshi game with the council members. They are confident of their victory. The game is on Saturday, October 7 at 11 a.m.
After last year, I know why they're so confident, too.
Thank you. Mr.
Excuse me, just
Ferrante.
correct, where, it's the 7th?
The 7th, no, the
Okay.
14th? Is that-
14th.
14th
Yeah, I thought
at
it was the
11 a.m.,
14th.
right?
11 a.m. on the 14th.
Because I know I couldn't
11, I
make that
got
one. It's 11, they changed it to.
Okay.
Mr. Ferrante, anything on environmental lake or library?
Just for the Lake Association, they have, just a reminder again, the fall cleanup for the lake, the Sand Shore shoreline portion of the lake will be on October 14th at 9 a.m. We will meet at the Pavilion parking lot.
Thank you. Mr. Maney, anything on planning or legislative?
Planning, we had one item on the agenda last month, and it's been adjourned to the October meeting.
Okay. Planning board, Health Department met last week. A couple of things that were of note that I received were, they're holding the flu clinics coming up now, coming up in October. And Overlook was scheduled for court today, but that the defendant was sick and they requested a postponement, which was granted. So we're still waiting on that. The monthly education poster and efforts is aimed at mental health. October is Mental Health Awareness Month. They met with the Health Administrative Board of Ed regarding the viral meningitis case and answered their questions and volunteered our health educational services. Outside of that, that's about all that was going on. Our next meeting will be in October, which is the third Wednesday of October, the 18th at 6:30 PM here. Mr. Roman, anything on recreation or Pride?
Nothing. Rec meets tomorrow, Pride next week.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart, anything on MOTV or Community Action Panel?
Community Action Panel had its meeting to start planning process for 2018 and looking for ideas from the different folks in the community for what they're looking for us to drive for.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to be heard at this time? Just please go up to the mic, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Charlie Ehrman. I live at 12 Jenny's Lane, Mount Olive. I'm here today on behalf of the All Veterans Memorial, and I kind of wanted to let you know the progress of where we are and potentially where we would like to go, and kind of an understanding of what we have acquired as a township, because I'm not sure that the township quite understands what we have achieved at the All Veterans Memorial. So I wanted to take this opportunity to let you know that we are progressing very well. We have 7 phases that we have completed, 7 elements that have been registered with the Library of Congress as being the original designs, which will soon be statewide known. We've been trying to keep everything kind of very quiet so we can complete the memorial. I'm really proud of what we've accomplished, and I really want to thank very much the parks, because they have been the gentlemen who work every day at the park. They're always there. They're very polite. They're very generous to us, whatever we need, heavy equipment-wise and everything else, very supportive. And I don't know that we would be able to do it. And I think, as you're aware, that we don't use taxpayers' money. We fundraise, and we're out there physically building, doing things ourselves. And we have elements that are the first of its kind in the nation, and one being the spiritual cenotaph. We have, that is of all the books of scriptures or books of authorities that are actually entombed at the park. We have a obelisk that honors all of the different wars, the different fallen, the wounded. We have the original War Dog Memorial, which seems to be a lot of people's favorite, which covers 5 wars in 5 different theaters with 5 different breeds of dogs with 5 different missions. We have the first Bill of Rights wall. It has the original Bill of Rights from 1 to 10 that were ratified originally by Congress, and we're very proud of that, which that somewhat remains a little bit still incomplete. So we have the presidential preambled area, which honors our presidents. We have our Pentagon, our military flags. We have a North Star seating area, which is designated for the families who have lost their loved ones. We have a path to enduring freedom that it denotes all of the wars or conflicts that we have been through as a nation. It gives brief information about the wars, about our wounded, and about our deceased, and also the opportunity for people who served honorably in the United States Armed Forces to honor their service. We are at a situation right now. We have 2 final phases. One is called the Veterans Remembrance Wall. This is probably one of the most important aspects of the All Veterans Memorial that ties it in. And we also have, it's called the Soul Garden, and it will be a prayer garden. One of the most important aspects of the All Veterans Memorial is that we have remained all-inclusive. We have the 14 bollards that represents the equality of all men. And so we've respected all religions, races, branches of service, economic groups, you name it, we've covered it. A lot of years, 15 years. It's been 15 years now since we have first proposed it and given the Mount Olive War Memorial I believe, a stunning home. When we first started the project, we didn't really fathom that we would reach to this point. you know, because it just seems like one element leads to another. And I do believe that our last 2 final phases is going to complete this park. We have had 5 4-star generals come to our Veterans Memorial, and they have sung our praises. They think this is one of the finest Veterans Memorials they've ever walked. A couple weeks ago, we had the president of the POW MIA, specifically, because the project that we're about to embark upon is going to give a lot of the POW MIAs a place to hold their vigils. It'll be the first place ever in the state of New Jersey where it is a formal POW MIA vigil. And what we're going to be doing there is, we've got a lot of the first. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the London Tower Poppy Project, but we are about to not perfectly replicate it, but somewhat, where they actually handmade 890,000 poppies to represent the life and death of their soldiers during World War I. We are going to be providing somewhat the similar thing to the Veterans Remembrance Wall. And the Veterans Remembrance Wall is kind of the reason why I'm here tonight, because I have some deep concerns. The Veterans Remembrance Wall is going to be the first of its kind, and what that's going to do is that is going to open up the AVM. It's going to actually create traffic. And not traffic, but it's going to be a center place where veterans who are who were POWs or who hold vigils, which is typically a 24 to 48-hour vigil for those who have not come back. Also, we're going to have a custom made, and it's going to be the first of its kind. I'm working with welders right now in Michigan to be where it's going to be a globe. It's going to be a 3-foot in diameter globe, and it's going to denote where all of our men and women fought in all the different wars, specifically because we want to honor all those who fought in all the wars. It's all inclusive. Which means that if one of the comrades of a American Legion, a VFW, or a disabilities veterans or whatever, if they lose a fallen, they're going to want to be able to, we're going to be able to provide them a very, very unbelievable place to hold a vigil. The poppies, it's going to be a ruins. If you're standing by the lake facing towards the Seward Mansion, we are actually having artists come in, and they're going to actually create a ruins, and we're going to have all the different elements and ground material from all over the world. We're going to have replica items from soldiers that are going to be embedded into the rubble. Then we're going to have massive poppy vines coming up through the wall, through the Bill of Rights, and coming down. That's where the handmade poppies are going to be. What we're going to do is open this handmade poppies up to the public, because not only do we build the Veterans Memorial, but we also, on a continuous basis, we are involved with the outreach, teaching, supporting our wounded. You know, we have a lot of things that we do during the year besides the Veterans Memorial. So recently, I'm going to go back a little bit. When we started the project, we first started under Mayor De La Roche, and then we pretty much built under Mayor Scapicchio. In our inaugural ceremony, we had a parking lot there, and it was our understanding, and then Jim was part of the conversations and all, the parking lot was really not going to be utilized, but we had offered to pave the parking lot, because we knew that we knew we kind of knew what our goals were going to be. And then, of course, Mayor Scapicchio had said, no, let us pave it, and we've got that. So initially, we had kind of thought that the parking lot was ours, but then it was utilized for a lot of the soccer moms and different things, and we didn't mind. But we did request a time back that we at least have 3 parking spaces, because we also serve a lot of the family members who happen to be elderly of the recent fallen soldiers. It's very hard to watch an elderly person walking from another parking lot over to the AVM to visit their son's or daughter's memorial paver that's there at the AVM. So we were given the 3 parking spaces, but sometimes we still don't have that because, we have our challenges. We have big challenges with bicycles, scooters. Typically during the sports season, soccer specifically, and this is nothing out of maliciousness. It just seems that the kids are just having fun, so they're going to ride the dogs, and because mom is watching the one sibling, and then somebody's, there's going to be a little boy or a little girl, they're going to kick their soccer ball and things like that, and we have damage. So what we try to do is we're trying our very best to be as discreet as we possibly can, hence the wall, because we were having a lot of troubles with the bicycles cutting through the path to Enduring Freedom onto the memorial pavers and skidding through and so on and so forth. So we figured if we build a wall, it'll be a deterrent. Then what we decided to do is maybe put ropes around it because people were parking on the memorial. I mean, we actually had people parking on the path to Enduring Freedom. I know it sounds bizarre, but it happens. And I don't think it's out of maliciousness, but we try to discreetly put things where it would be a deterrent. One of the things that I don't feel doing this for 15 years, putting a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of my own money, a lot of time, a lot of heart. I really don't feel, and it's not to be critical, I really don't feel that the town understands what they have or appreciates or shows how much they appreciate it. And it makes me really kind of sad because if you could see some of the people, some of these high-ranking officers, these military, these mothers, if anybody's ever been to one of our services, we have the #1 amount of Gold Star mothers and people who have lost their kids at our memorial. This last Memorial Day, we had 12 World War II veterans, the largest crowd of World War II veterans in any one place. We have had every year since we've been doing the Memorial Day, we've had generals be our keynote speakers. We've had men who were historic, the original dog handler of Smokey the War Dog. And I know with some people it doesn't really matter because we're in those kind of times. But you know what? I don't think it really matters what we think, but we should really respect how other people perceive this Veterans Memorial. Because when you see a lot of mothers and a lot of people sitting by themselves at the All Veterans Memorial, they come there because they say that they feel the greatest peace is at our memorial. And I think that that is really important, because if we don't respect what the memorial is, at least respect what it means to others. And so we just recently wanted to do an event, and we had thought that everything was fine. When we first started with the AVM, we basically applied for a change of use with the state of New Jersey. And not that we felt like we're going to do whatever we want. We always want to stay within the rules or the what's required of us with the township. But we did feel very much like an autonomous body, if you will, because we have a very, very special and very important role in this town. We are with those disabled veterans. I sit with those parents, and they cry on my shoulder because they really feel like I understand. There are certain military protocols when we are holding our Memorial Day, because we have these generals coming in, and because we are not affiliated politically to anybody. and this is why it's so important that I remain silent, is because we want these amazing people coming in. We've got the American Legions who had no clue we had something so magnificent at the park. Where I'm concerned is recently there was a schedule problem. We were going to host a reenactment. We had the president of the reenactors of New Jersey come to visit on a couple Sundays ago. He couldn't believe how absolutely magnificent. He wanted to know how we kept this a secret. And so he called out all troops, and we were going to have an encampment on the 21st. The 21st, what we wanted originally to do is we were going to have the reenactors encampments for the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the World War II, and the Vietnam War. It's never happened in the state of New Jersey where we had all the reenactors in one place. But it was because we have a beautiful setting to do so. But more importantly, it was because we wanted our kids to make these poppies to go on this wall. It's that one added effort of heart that I wanted to put. And the deal was this. You go through the reenactment, you understand what our men and women go through. Even when they do the ultimate sacrifice, they're sacrificing something before they lose their lives. And we wanted the kids to understand that. Because we're always trying to we're an educational complex. We want to teach our kids. And so when we opened the Poppy project up to them, we wanted them to have a right heart and a right mind, and for them to remember this for the rest of their lives. And we had the conflict, and I understand that. And we were willing to not solicit at all, and we were willing to just be very quiet but still be there, and then we would then solicit our event for the following Sunday. It didn't work out, unfortunately, for us. Soccer prevailed. They took a knee. But what I am worried about is this. We are going, and now I'm told that we have to mesh, and we don't want to break any rules or whatever, but now all of a sudden we have to fit into the township calendar. And what concerns me, and I hope that you understand, this isn't criticizing anybody, but we're defined differently. The reason why we are where we are in the park is so we don't affect the park. So we're not intertwined with the sports. And my understanding in the beginning was the parking lot was going to be us, and that we would have just this little area. And so I worry, because if we build this wall and we bring in our veterans and it's going to be inconvenient, how do you tell somebody, say somebody dies in an American Legion and they want to have a motorcycle event coming in or whatever, and you say, sorry, you got to find somewhere else to go because we got soccer or whatever. And I really kind of want to just impress upon you guys that it might not be important to some people in Mount Olive, but I will tell you it's damn important to a lot of the people from outside of Mount Olive. When they see this, they think it's absolutely stunning. And so I want to figure out a way, how do we as a township look at this as being exceptional, look at this as for what it is. It is a memorial. It is the life and death of many, many, many people. It represents our country, and I think it should be revered a little bit more sacred. Because I know when you get these mothers coming in, they think this is absolutely the most magnificent place in the world. And I really wish that we would look at the All Veterans Memorial a little bit differently, that if it's not important to you, it might be important to the person you're sitting next to, or because I know, with John, you've been to some of them, you've seen these mothers weep, and they've never been to memorial services like ours. And they've said this vocally, they've said, oh my goodness, generals, they say, oh my goodness, you've put so much effort into these ceremonies. and the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, they come back. And we've got kids who say, you know what, you changed my life. If you get on the Mount Olive High School website and you see Will Barr, who now is going to be a candidate for the West Point, he tells a story about how the All Veterans Memorial has changed his life. So I really would like, my goal tonight is for us to think about how is it that we could be able to impromptu allow somebody, a group, or is this just a bad idea? Do we just not offer this? And because we're not going to be able to fit into the township's agenda. We're not part of the sports. We're not entertaining anybody. I'm sorry. We don't entertain people. We educate people. And I think sports is really important, and I think carnivals are really important to some people, but I also feel that the Veterans Memorial is by far going to be one of the shining stars once we release this into the public, because we've been very quiet about the AVM. So,
Mayor?
Yeah, Charlie, first of all, last time I saw you at the AVM, I came up to you and I told you how impressed I was with the
Thank you.
effort that you had done up there. It really is quite a memorial, fitting and all-inclusive. One of the difficulties that we have in the municipality, obviously, is juggling our facilities in terms of the needs of the community. And while you feel that the AVM committee is a separate and distinct entity, the fact remains that it's part of our park system, always has been. It's owned by the municipality. It's governed by the municipality, mostly in the way that you have directed the municipality in the past to pass ordinances and the like to protect. Every time that you've come to the municipality in the past, whether it be for security cameras or lighting, the township has ultimately given as generously as we could to help in additional funding to what you and your group have done up there. With respect to the weekends in October, unfortunately, that weekend of October the 21st, which every year is the soccer tournament and a municipal event, is probably next to the Saturday of Carnival, the busiest day in the park. It wasn't something which was planned way in advance. It was kind of something which was brought to our attention most recently. And it's not an impromptu thing. It really is something which is a planned event, and therefore we couldn't do it. We couldn't, in good conscience, in terms of our scheduling in the park, agree to allow that to happen on that particular weekend. And I knew you understood, and I know that's not particularly why you're here. It's a much broader concept that you're bringing today in terms of scheduling. I did offer, if you wanted to do the reenactment, and I told Jill that I would make, for that weekend, I would make Drakesbrook Park, which is open, available to you for the reenactment. I know that that doesn't work for you because you want to do it in conjunction with the AVM, and I understand that, but that's the best that I could do. I think in our form of government, ultimately, the decision in terms of how to schedule events is left to the administration. It's one of the Faulkner Act tasks that is specifically delegated to the administration. It's not a council issue. And we try very hard with respect to all of the groups, including the AVM. We don't schedule anything else on Memorial Day that would interfere with the AVM activities. I'm sure that on Veterans Day, and we don't prohibit, even on the 21st, when the park is going to be at its busiest, to not allow anyone into the park to participate in any of the type of activities that are up there that are open, such as the AVM, but not the splash pad. So we don't prohibit. Overnight vigils are something completely different. My position on it, and I do believe that this is a council issue more than an administration issue, is that there would need to be an ordinance and a procedure that was put in place to allow for overnight staying in the park, because it does affect other residents to a certain degree. The only day that I am aware that we allow other people to sleep in the park generally is related to the carnival, so there is precedence for it. But the parking overnight is as far away from any residences as we can push it up to the top. So I think that that's something which would need to be looked at, but in terms of simply granting a different status to the AVM than any of our other users of the park, I just don't see that as a viable alternative at this point. So I'm very sorry that you were unable to schedule this event. As I said, I offered a different park. I understand why it doesn't work. It's not that I'm singling out the AVM committee. It just was a weekend which the park is already in use.
You want me to respond to that? Well, I appreciate that. One of the things that under David Scapicchio's mayor, and I know he's not mayor now, I get that, but we are speaking about understanding. One of the things when we had moved forward and I had spoken to Jill about was when we had the flag burning vault there, our understanding is that there was absolutely no problem with spending the night when the Boy Scouts were going to do the flag retirement vigil. And so I just want you to know that we did certain things with the understanding that we would be able to do this, that overnight would be permissible. And so
It's generally not, I think, whether it happened under Dave Scapicchio. And I'm not saying that I'm opposed to it generally, with the appropriate procedures in place to protect the residents. Generally, our park systems close at, I think, 10 o'clock at the latest, depending upon or at dusk for certain of our facilities. I'm okay with people staying in the park as long as there are appropriate procedures in place in terms of noise reduction, location, approval in advance. Those types of things are all acceptable to me. But again, I think that's something which would have to be codified by the governing body ultimately in terms of changing the way in which our parks are used after hours. I just think it's kind of like
and I agree. We're not asking for any special favors. We've never asked for any special carve-outs. However, I do believe that if we're going to carve out for carnivals, I think probably a veteran would be a little bit would.
Agree 100% with you. I'm not saying that I'm saying that I'm in favor of allowing exactly what you're asking for with the appropriate change in policy being adopted. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying yes, but you know what? Let's look at what we need to do to make it happen.
Well, and I guess I'm here tonight requesting that we kind of look at, before we move forward with the Veterans Remembrance Wall, it is a very, very beautiful project, but it is going to require one overnight minimally, and then also looking at the aspects of if we do have a fallen hero and they want to start using the AVM to honor that hero, and that's going to happen. That's going to start to happen. And that's why we pushed it in the front where we have the barn, we've got the Seward Mansion, where they don't go through the park, they come straight to the AVM. And so I really tonight I'm asking for you just to think about it. I want you to look at it instead of anybody coming back and saying this can't happen or whatever, because I look at these and most that know the AVM, I look at these elements and they're not done just because I took out a piece of paper and I designed something. We looked at it and we looked at it and it took years. And so for us to just say, well, this can't happen, we do have a Veterans Memorial in Turkey Brook Park, and it's no different than if you were to go to Washington, D.C. and have the same reverence there. And so we're trying to make, when we design the AVM, we try to make it as less maintenance as we possibly can. We're always meeting with the the parks people and saying, will this work for you? Will this be convenient for you? So we've done what everybody, we don't look at that we're a carve-out, but I do believe that we are a special entity simply because we work with the veterans, and we're the only veteran organization in Mount Olive. And I think that that should be somewhat appreciated and acknowledged by the governing body, because we do more than just the AVM. We do a lot of outreach, and and I got to tell you, it's sometimes a little disheartening when we're being thanked by outsiders saying, "Boy, is your township lucky," and we're like, tell them about it, because we don't feel like we're appreciated. We really don't. It's.
Well, I can tell you from my perspective, and I know I speak on behalf of the entire council, that we appreciate all of your efforts at the AVM on behalf of the residents of the township.
Well, and you are kind of I will tell you, I work there almost every day, and the residents all say, this is by far the best money that the township is, the taxpayers' money that the township is paying. And when I have volunteers out there, they're like, well, the town's not building this.
But the town does participate in providing you the land, providing you the services of our buildings and grounds, providing...
They're a
different
great
aspects.
support, and I don't doubt that.
So the taxpayers of Mount Olive are providing support to the majority of the effort that you put in to create and maintain the facility.
It's a service, Rob. It's a service.
Charlie, I know it is a love. It is a creation of the love that you have for that project and for what stands behind that project. I know that your heart and everything that you do is for the right reason, and doing it because you're providing for everything that you've discussed here tonight in terms of for all of the veterans, for the township, a place where people can go and be recognized, or to contemplate, or to remember, all of those things. And I know you've done a fantastic job. And I'm not just saying that here because I came up to you, in the parking lot when I saw it and told you. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me in the same way that you've just addressed it and said what a wonderful facility, what a wonderful monument that the All Veterans Memorial is. So I think I can't say it any more than I speak on behalf.
No one's
of you.
asking. I just want,
Notwithstanding that, you have to understand that I'm not against overnight vigils, as long as there's a procedure in place, because you have to understand that we have to be able to provide security.
I want to stop you there, Rob, because the reason we found out there was a conflict is because I was doing everything the way it should be. I was applying for the permits. We were doing everything. So it's not like we're going willy-nilly and we're doing this. We were applying for them. Actually, they were supposed to, and when I got the email that they couldn't apply for the permits, they asked me to, and that's how we ended up talking about it. We don't ever take anything for granted. We follow the rules of the township.
I don't doubt that, and I've never heard anything to the contrary. And unfortunately, those 2 weekends out of all of the weekends, and I know that's the only weekend that works for the group doing the recreation.
Well, that was the only weekend that the the 4 groups, and we were very fortunate. And I think, they said, well, we'll just be there. We'll just be there, and we'll get our own parking, and we'll have zero. It'd be an added value with zero effect on, if we don't advertise it, we're just going to be there as a beautiful setting for the All Veterans Memorial.
There's nothing stopping anybody who wants to go into the park on that day to attend the All Veterans Memorial, to play basketball or whatever. The problem is to have an organized event is not something which the park can and the township can accommodate for that weekend or the following weekend, based upon, I know that the soccer club is going to have 150 teams there. It is going to be a zoo to start with. And so I'm not even sure that the recreation, in light of the fact that this massive soccer tournament is happening. And believe me that the soccer club also participates in maintenance and does significant purchasing for improvement of the Turkey Brook Park with their own dollars. So, for instance, the turf field that is in Turkey Brook was paid for entirely by soccer.
I understand how the method works, Rob.
Right.
We don't want to get into that.
Okay.
It's debatable. What I would ask
what
is,
what is debatable?
I don't want to get into that right now. So I would ask the council to at least consider that if there's on an occasion for the AVM to have some vigils, it would be typically in the month of September. It's when our POWs, MIAs, and if spending the evening in the park is going to be prohibited, then we will not be able to go forward with the wall. And that's really the reason why I'm here today, is because if we can't allow the POWs and MIAs to do the vigils and overnight, the wall would be pointless. And so that was really pretty much what the wall was going to be. So I'm open for any questions if anybody has, otherwise I'll just yield.
If there's any questions, we'll discuss it with administration, with the mayor and administration
Okay.
of what he's bringing up.
Thanks for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the AVM. It is beautiful. Does anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Any council comments? Mr. Amianda?
None.
Mr. Ferrante?
I'd just like to welcome Andrew to the team.
Thank you. Mr. Mania?
Yeah, I just want to state that I've been a supporter of the AVM from day one. And I'm a veteran myself. And I don't know how many of us are veterans up here, but I served my country. And I think the AVM is one of the best things that could have ever happened to Mount Olive.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart?
In support of that, I've attended a couple of them. The ceremonies are phenomenal.
Mr. Roman?
I'd like to welcome Andrew aboard and also reiterate the comments that I applaud Ms. Ehrman's efforts, Yeoman's efforts with the AVM. It is definitely a hidden jewel among the jewel that is Turkey Brook Park. I also at this time like to say that my heart is heavy over the horrendous and incomprehensible murders that occurred in Las Vegas this past weekend. And I pray for the families of those that were affected and for the soul of this country. Thank you.
Thank you. And the same there, Alex, on those comments. It is horrendous what happened there. And as well, the Veterans Memorial, Charlie, as we said, is a great place. In fact, my relatives, I know, just went there last week, and how beautiful it is from out of town. So everyone does recognize that and appreciate the efforts that you did do to create that. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Second.
Oh, second. Sorry, second.
I'll second
Mr.
it.
Stewart. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all.